Hey everybody, Mark here. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Campus Takeover edition of the Menlo Midweek podcast with the San Mateo Campus. I am super excited for this episode, but I'm also a little bit disappointed because at about 20 minutes, the video feed cut out, a little bit of a technical difficulty on our end. However, the audio is all okay, so you can listen all the way through, but we did lose our video feed. And I'd like to just use this as an opportunity to say, hey, if you would like to get involved and help us during this recording process, it would make things like this happen way less. You don't have to have a background in technology or in production or cameras. All you have to do is be willing to learn our computer programs, click a few buttons, and make sure things are going as they should. And hopefully we can mitigate problems like this from happening again. So if that's you, you can text our team, 650-600-0402. And now let's get into this really fun podcast. Well, welcome to the Menlo Midweek Podcast Takeover Edition.
Yes.
With the San Mateo Campus. Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
Yeah, we are too.
So we have 3 guests today. Why don't you give yourself a little introduction, your name, how you got to Menlo, and maybe where you were from originally, your hometown. We'll start with you, Matt.
Okay. Matt Stefan, San Mateo Campus pastor.
All right.
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and very proud of that.
Yeah.
It's a great little place. I've been in Menlo for 7 years. I used to work at a wonderful little church called Sunnyvale Pres over in Sunnyvale. Mm-hmm. And then I came to work at the Mountain View campus for a couple years. Been at the San Mateo campus for 5 years as the campus pastor. Wow. So if you can't break it in 5 years, then it must really be solid.
Yeah, really solid.
A really good foundation there.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Thank whoever was there before me.
Yeah.
They did a great job. Yeah. All right. Jenny, tell us your name.
Jenny Chang. I'm the campus administrator at San Mateo. Came here. I was actually where am I from, right?
Sure.
Ohio is where I grew up.
Okay.
I don't really know where I'm from because I've lived in like a whole bunch of different cities. No, seriously, LA, I've been in Michigan, Chicago, Philadelphia, Taiwan,
You have been all over.
Connecticut. So
This is why you're so smart.
no,
Yeah.
this is
You've been
why
everywhere,
someone
seen
says,
everything.
"Where are you from?" I'm like, I don't really know, but I have been here in San Mateo for 13 years.
Okay.
Been at the campus. I was minding my own business actually as a volunteer
Yeah.
in the kids ministry, and then that was about 6 or 7 years ago, and then came on here as campus administrator about 5 years ago.
Interesting.
Okay, I always tell people a different origin story.
Oh, what
so
is
here now in public, I want to fact check.
Oh,
Oh, this will be fun.
I always tell everybody Jenny Chang is a secret weapon of our campus.
Okay.
She has an MBA from Wharton and ran
It's like
her
not
own
so secret anymore.
Okay.
People- yeah.
MBA from Wharton, ran your own startup. Are those true facts about you?
Those are true.
100% true.
They
Okay.
are true.
How long did you run your own startup for?
But the startup only stayed steady. It didn't, you know how it's supposed to hockey
Jenny.
puck? It didn't hockey puck, but that's why I can be in ministry. Because if
Yeah.
it hockey pucked, would I be here?
Yes. Okay. But some reverse hockey puck and crater.
Yeah, it did not crater, so I can say that.
So I think stasis is an achievement.
That's
I-
great.
I
What
think so.
percentage of startups fail?
Yeah.
That
All of them?
I do. I feel
if
like
me and
that
this
was
guy
success.
started the company,
Yeah. That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Okay. So those origin story facts are true.
Those
about
are true.
you. Okay. But you modestly keep them out of
Yeah.
your introduction.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
She's an Avenger.
Yeah.
Also,
I listed my best qualities in
Yeah.
my introduction.
yeah.
No, I said I was from Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Good shout out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a great shout out.
Nice.
Junior.
Yeah. Well, my name is Orlando, but everyone calls me Junior because most everyone knows my dad. I am from Redwood City, so just 5 minutes down the road. Born and raised here in the Bay Area. Yeah, and I've been at Menlo for 3.5 years.
Okay.
I was at Verbo. My dad is a pastor at Verbo, and we've partnered with Menlo for 20 years. And so I got to meet some people, Matt included, and just with time and prayer, I was like, all right, I think it's time for me to try something new. And then right when I made that decision, San Mateo was looking for a new worship leader. So it worked out.
Like a glove.
Like a
It's a
glove.
great glove.
Yeah. So your daytime job is this.
Oh, yeah. So I, before coming to Menlo, worked full-time for an airline, Delta Airlines. Long story short, I handed my 2 weeks notice in. My boss can you stay on for 2 months just to help the transition off part-time? I was like, okay, I'll do it. Then pandemic happened.
Yeah.
They let me come off leave, which is amazing. I didn't do anything. And then when at the time they were opening back up, I was engaged, so I needed the money, and so I kept the second job.
Yeah.
So I still work part-time at Delta. I work in the tower, which is a lot of fun. People think I'm like the FAA calls planes. I don't do that. Once they land, then I take over. But yeah, our department takes over.
So when we fly Delta and we get a really good gate assignment, we can thank you.
Yeah,
You're the
dude.
guy.
You're the guy?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes. Yeah, no,
Are-
for sure.
Are you to blame if we can't find our luggage?
Yeah.
If a flight gets canceled, it's probably because I pushed a button and something went wrong. Yeah.
You're sipping your coffee and went, oh,
Yeah,
whoopsie.
there's probably Monday Night Football happening. I got distracted. Yeah, yeah.
What perks are associated
Yeah,
with your
this is-
employment at Delta?
This is the biggest reason why I'm still
Great
there.
question.
Because I get to fly for free, unlimited. And
Where?
Anywhere. Yeah, anywhere Delta flies. Technically anywhere, because we're able to pay a very small fee to other airlines to fly. It's flying standby, but it's still phenomenal. I'm still convinced it's the number one reason my wife married me. No big deal.
Well, I do agree, and I think it's a good thing you got the job back because
Yeah,
where would
sure.
you be now?
yeah.
It's the only reason we hired you. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're trying to
But we
get in
haven't
on
gotten
that.
the tickets.
I know.
What's up
never
with that?
happened.
Yeah.
3.5 years in, and I'm still.
You're still waiting for your
Wait.
ticket.
Only one person at Menlo has gotten the benefit of me at Delta.
Thanks, dude.
But it was when I can't really say that.
wasn't
I'll get in trouble. And that was Brett. So yeah,
I knew I didn't
a
like him.
long time
Yeah.
ago.
How did
The
he
wrong
get?
guy.
How did he get ahead on the list before
This
me?
was before I even met you, dude. I just knew him, and he was flying Delta. I
So
think I just
you were
gave him
just
a better
friends.
Seat. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I can't help any of you guys. Sorry, the rules are really bad.
Yeah.
Or great if you look at that.
Okay. Well, maybe your finger can slip, and then we can do this next podcast from
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
right.
do it.
Well, I thought it'd be really fun, and thank you all for participating in this, for the guests that come on to this podcast to bring us a little gift, a little souvenir that we can leave behind. You can grab it whenever you want and take it back. But that way, when we're in the new studio space that we're in now, which is cool, we have this awesome
It is so cool.
shelving area.
It looks great.
This is all going to get redone too, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll have tokens to remember each of our guests by.
like
So
that.
if you did bring something, which I'm pretty sure you all did, why don't you get that out now and explain what you brought and why you brought it? And we can start with
Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah, I want to hear Jenny's.
Well, I brought a vintage Menlo
Look at that.
Kids
Oh,
Menlo Kids
That's incredible.
T-shirt because
Okay, that
this
is vintagey
what,
looking.
This is what I was wearing when I was minding my own business, and God kind of tapped me and was like, "Are you sure you don't have a little extra capacity to to do something in ministry?" Which I was like, "Oh Lord, I don't know, I don't have anything I can do." And then this came up, and I was like, "Oh, admin and organization, I can do that."
Yeah.
So anyway, this is, and I loved it. I would be checking kids in, and I loved seeing the new families come in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
it-
so bad, it's got like
I was gonna say, it
stains
looks
and
loved.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
been like,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
it's authentic.
And I haven't thrown it away because it was kind of
It was.
meaningful.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to this.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
That's an artifact.
This is fantastic.
Okay, Junior.
Well, I brought a bunch of things. I'll bring my first thing, and then
Yeah.
I brought a pedal, which if you guys know me, I'm quite a collector.
Like a gas pedal. What
for
is that?
planes at Delta.
A plane pedal.
That's how the planes go faster.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening and don't know what guitar pedals are, whenever we sound better than what we actually are, it's because of things like this.
Okay.
And so I collect quite a few of them. I actually am terrible at like reselling them, so I just collect a bunch of them. So I thought this would be cool. I
Yes.
definitely
Really
use this
cool.
at Menlo. I use this a ton in the pandemic when we were filming a ton.
Oh, nice. What does that pedal do?
This is overdrive, so it just makes you sound a little bit more rock and roll. Just
Sweet.
two
That turns up
string.
the rock and roll.
Turns up the rock and roll.
Got
yeah.
it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
That's super good. Okay,
This is where it's.
I brought this.
Okay, now this is where you look at the camera.
This is yeah.
Yeah. What is
Okay.
this? What
All
are we
right,
looking
this
at
is
here?
this is a special. This is one of my prized possessions. Okay, so 2 years ago, I asked Mark Mornishi to take me surfing so I could learn how to go surfing, and I still haven't figured out how to go surfing. It's so hard to surf on a surfboard.
You're doing pretty good, man.
I spend a lot of time underwater. But I have picked up a few tricks of the trade. Being from the Midwest, sometimes you can be like, oh, these California people are weak when it comes to extreme temperatures, hot and cold.
Sure.
I'm like, oh.
Sure.
So we would go, dawn patrol surfing, and it'd be 40-some degrees. And you'd have a wetsuit on, and you're working hard in the water, so you don't really notice it. And I would see the other people out there, when they would get out of the water, they would have a laundry detergent jug full of steaming water, and they would pour it on themselves. I watched you do it. And I was like, these weak-minded people can't deal with a little cold. And then in many ways in life, I've learned this lesson. I am dumb. I'm not smart. So when I finally tried it the first time, I was like, oh, my God, this feels amazing.
Yeah.
So shortly after trying it for the first time, I started collecting laundry detergent jugs so that I could bring one for each member of my party. If you bring one for every family member
nice.
when you go to the beach.
It's a good move.
So when we go to the beach, I put my kids in a wetsuit and a life jacket, and I just let them run around as much as they want to. And they go play in the water or whatever. And then I started bringing a jug for them. And now, right when we get out of the car and we get there, they say, can we skip straight to the jug of warm water?
Oh, yeah.
That'll preach.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
So anyways, this was my first jug, and I blame you for it. And I love this one because I've used it enough times to where the intense laundry detergent smell is out of it. So this is actually my first, most special one. But it's an ode to you and you lowering your status to take me surfing once. So thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a great gift.
That's awesome.
And now I have to get a new one to dump on myself.
Yeah. Maybe we can figure something out for you.
Yeah, sure.
We'll also have to figure out the new aesthetic that we're going for in the studio.
Yeah.
We have a bright
hang it.
yellow.
Yes,
laundry
that's
jug.
right. This does not blend in. And I won't be insulted if you don't put it on
It's a
the top
statement
shelf.
piece. We need one, you know?
Yeah. That's right. It's also a conversation starter.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
And you can just plug this episode. Like you have to watch it if you want to know. We should put the episode on it, like in marker, so you could just reference it yourself.
Yeah.
up.
Or like draw a QR code on it.
Yeah,
And
just
then
boop
like,
it. Yeah,
people can just use it. Perfect.
that's right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your gifts.
My
This
pleasure.
is great. And I'd love to give you all a chance to dive in a little bit more about how we actually became Christians. I find it super interesting that someone that's been all over the place and seeming like a superhero's origin story, someone that had another day job and then this became their thing. Matt, kind of the same story there of how you moved from ministry to ministry to ministry. How did you find yourself at Menlo? But more importantly, how did you and when did you first connect with God? What was your, like, this is the moment, if you had one, I became a Christian, or this has just been my journey with Christianity? So love to give some space for that. Junior, why don't you start us out?
Yeah. Well, I am a pastor's kid. I heard the other podcast with Matt Summers and Ethan, so I was like, oh, yeah, there's a few of us on staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pastor's kid here in the area. My dad became a pastor when I was like 8. We started a life group at home when I was 6, and then in like 6 months, there was 50 people in our living room, which was not fun. But it was amazing. And so he started church. I grew up there. My family were all very musical. Like all my aunts and uncles, cousins. Some of my cousins don't know how to play anything, but yeah, give them a shout out. But yeah, so I grew up playing drums at church, and then at like 17, my dad calls me into his room. He's like, "Hey, on Sunday you're gonna have to lead worship," which I'd never sang in public before.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, and my dad's all like, "Our worship leader has to." He had some visa stuff, so he had to leave. So he's like, so he only has 2 weeks left with us, so he's going to train you these next 2 weeks.
Did you sing at like the church in your home?
When I was a kid, no. I played I play like piano and guitar, so I would always like sing if other people were singing, but I
Sure.
never like led or sang alone.
Wow. So this is like first time.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so then, and I think I was like getting ready to start doing youth stuff. So I think they knew I could sing, and so. Yeah, and then I led worship for the first time at 17 at the church, and then I was technically the worship leader there for a few years. Yeah, and then just went through some things where I don't even know if it was a faith crisis, but in a way it was. I just needed to figure out right your stereotypical PK, like I want to figure out my own faith thing. But yeah, it took longer than I thought. It was about 2.5 years where I put all the instruments away. I stopped serving at church, and it was hard 2 years, but it was like super necessary. And so I was able to see that what I get to do at church is more out of an abundance of gratitude of my relationship with Jesus than anything else. And so I try to keep that in mind now. Like, hey, I get to do this, and it's like the greatest honor of my life that this is my job, right, quote unquote. But it comes out of my relationship with Jesus. And the second I feel like my relationship with Jesus is not there, then maybe I'll think about something else to do to restore that, right? But right now I'm having a great time, and that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Jenny, how about you?
So I can look back to two pivotal moments where I think God just called me. And I think, well, the first one is that just as a kid, my parents both immigrated from a Buddhist country, and so they were not familiar with who Jesus was at all. Got invited to a Bible study that was actually held at a Presbyterian church. So we'd go there on afternoons, and there were a bunch of us kids just running around. And I look back, and I'm kind of amazed that the custodian at the church, he was cleaning the church every Sunday after church, and he would come by and he would tell us stories about the Bible. And that's how we learned. That's like our foundation. That's our Sunday school, was the custodian at our church, which was really cool.
Wow.
And then you kind of fast forward. I think when I was about in third grade, there was a youth volunteer, 19-year-old. 19-year-old kid, like I think about it now, but back then I thought he was so cool and so old. But anyway, he was just a student volunteer, not just a student volunteer, and he explained really very clearly what it meant to accept Jesus.
Wow.
And I answered that altar call. Technically, it was like around a campfire, and there were a bunch of other kids. But yeah, so that, and I've never looked back. So that was really, I think those were all really important points in my life, and that's important people.
Wow.
That influenced it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Can I ask, how did you ever tell your parents, and what was their reaction to you becoming a Christian?
They were there. So it was like a
they're all
church
there.
camp. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, they became believers through their Bible study.
Oh,
so
no way.
I think it's
Okay.
really cool. And I mean, they wouldn't have known Jesus had they not come here, immigrated, didn't that
Yeah.
Bible study. And they're older now. My father's passed, and my mom is in the last stage of dementia, and to know that they really know him. And she's still, even though she can't say a whole lot, she still lights up when I pray with her, which is really, really cool.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, man.
Yeah. Really rewind it a couple generations. My grandma and grandpa got married at 14 and 15, coming out of the Depression. And then...
I don't know what to do with that.
Right? That's where this story began.
Really take it back.
Yeah, 100 years ago, maybe that makes sense. Right now, that is very controversial. Makes you uncomfortable to even say out loud.
2,000 years ago, there was this man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So they, by the time they were 21, they had 6 kids, and they were going to a Catholic church. And when my dad was in high school, they had a moment where they switched to being Pentecostal, and it was much more like day-to-day faith. Mm-hmm. And my dad remembers that really clearly. Like this, my grandpa went from like drinking beers all day on a Saturday to like a lot more time at home with the kids. Like this was a really major life transformation that my dad sort of vividly witnessed, but didn't experience himself. Like they went to Catholic school, but he was like zero interest. So when my parents got married and then were going to have me, they were pregnant with me, and they went to the church a few times with my grandparents. My dad had this, I think, overwhelming sense of inadequacy and deep need becoming my dad. So he responded to one of these Pentecostal, come up here and know Jesus if you need help in your life moments.
Wow.
And that was, and then my mom, super pregnant with me, watched my dad go through this experience, was like, I'm not doing that. And then one Sunday morning was like, okay, Jesus, I'll give my life to you. If when I open my eyes from this prayer, the row is empty, because she was super pregnant, didn't want to scoot by everybody. And so she opens her eyes and like 9 people had left. So she gets out of there. They become Christians. And then like a week later, I was born. So grew up in this Christian household, and we were really faithful church every Sunday people. My dad, similar to me, raging extrovert. So he just I think liked being there. Like the church lobby was his zone. My mom hated it and was like the first person in the car waiting for us. So church was like an enjoyable social experience for me always. And I watched my parents like learn and grow in their faith early on. But yeah, when I was in 7th grade, went to the youth group at our church, and there was, would you like to know Jesus in a more intimate way? And I said yes, and it was tearful and meaningful for me, and that was definitely the genesis of all of this. And it was really clear to me this big distinction between I've been going to church my whole life, and that was very different than knowing Jesus. And that's what I really wanted to say yes to. So yeah, that's how it went down. I didn't rewind all the way to Jesus Christ, but somewhat close.
Pretty close. We're pretty close to it.
Yeah. We went back a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I also grew up in the church, was a pastor's kid as well. My mom was my children's minister growing up. So that was a mix of going to work with my mom and then going to the same place for worship on Sundays. And so I think just being in and around that environment, always grew up with it, being a part of my life, but really decided for myself, like end of high school.
Okay.
When I was like, I want to do this for myself. It's now a choice. My mom was actually pretty good about this. And it's kind of funny because we have some friends that were asking like, well, you and Missy are both like super Christian. And so like, are you going to raise your kids and like make them go to church with you? And we were like, well, maybe, but we would mostly hope that just like how we are would say more about what Jesus is like and not just like check the church box off. And my mom was kind of that same way. She never really told me I had to go because we were super similar. And so we'd butt heads all the time. And if she told me to do something, I would be like, no, I'm going to do the opposite. Even if I like actually really wanted to do it. Sorry, Mom. But so she actually never forced me or made me go to church with her. But most Sundays I would go, except if there was like a basketball game or something. I had some sports or something. But yeah, and so it was just a kind of a slow progression to being around it all the time to actually saying, yes, like I want this for myself. And part of that was the people that I met. Part of that was a really strong leader in my life that was really invested in me, and that felt really good. My youth pastor and young adult, I guess it would be students pastor, was just like Team Mark, and that just felt so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I didn't feel like I fit in at church, and I feel like that's kind of a theme that I've heard from a lot of people is they don't feel like they fit in, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, this place is for me. And oftentimes that happens through relationships. So I was very lucky to experience that when I did, and super, super grateful.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so we're all here representing different areas of the San Mateo campus, and our heart is that other people would also feel that, man, I fit in here. This is a place for me. And I think that you all do a great job of that. Part of how I got to Menlo was I actually applied to be the San Mateo office manager right before they redirected my application and said, that's not a good fit for you. How about young adults? So I was actually in the lobby at San Mateo. I was attending there with my wife, Missy, and her family. At the time, she was my fiance. And I really needed a job, and I was considering all sorts of things. And I saw a slide, shout out to the production team, just a post-service slide that said, we're hiring. And so I went on and I applied. And then from there, this happened.
Wow.
Don't know how. That was five or 6 years ago.
Yeah, I just want to go on
Wild.
record and say I would have hired you.
Thanks, man.
I don't know who redirected that application.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
Someone else
But
needed
the
him
Lord was
also.
at work in this because that's how we arrived with Jenny and Mark.
I know. Yeah. And obviously that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
From what
I
I've heard
was
so
not
far.
going to say that, but
And clearly, I would not be doing what he's doing.
You can totally host a podcast.
yeah, that's right.
Well, this is our first time having a campus admin, I think, on the podcast ever.
Yeah.
So you've got Just to say no.
Oh, we had
I
Juice.
thought I saw Juice.
Yeah,
Juice.
Juice
Oh,
was on here.
yeah. I always
that
associate
part
her with
out.
students too.
Yeah.
But
Shout out Juice.
Yep.
yeah.
We love you, Juice.
Tell us a little bit more about admins, what they do, how they actually run the church,
we
and
don't
how
actually run the
we
church.
can how we can help come alongside you with what you do.
Yeah, well, so as a campus administrator, we do everything kind of behind the scenes, from ordering the supplies, helping with communication, offering count, just all the even help make sure plumbing gets fixed, which is important for all of us. I really love having plumbing.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I
think
remember that on your cover letter.
Yeah, good. So anyway, it's like all that behind the scenes stuff. And I think what's great about it, and I don't know what order we're doing. We're going to talk about volunteers and stuff, but the ministry I get to be in is working with people who love doing stuff behind the scenes.
Yes.
And I love that because there are people who don't quite feel like Sunday or being on stage or being with kids maybe is not their thing, or definitely not students. But we have a space here where people can grow and serve, and we walk alongside each other, and I get to pray with them and learn what's going on in their lives and do things that the church needs done. So that's a lot of fun.
So it sounds pretty relational too. Like you.
There's
Yeah?
some of both, yeah. There's
Okay.
like doing and then relation, and there's plenty of little volunteer groups I get to work with too.
Oh, so fun.
Okay, personal life highlight for me. Tell me if this is true. It seems like maybe your favorite part is getting to pray with those volunteers.
I do. That is my favorite part.
And that just is such a delight for me to watch. You love them.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
It is very cool to watch. I'm on
Is it?
campus when they are meeting 'cause I'm doing something else, but I see them pray over the lobby and the chairs. And
Yeah, tell us about
before they
that.
work. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, we just like to, I mean, just like on Sundays you have team time, we do our own team time. So
Okay.
we'll pray, we'll catch up with each other, we'll pray for each other, we'll pray for the things going on in campus. So you guys can know that the campus is well prayed for, because as we're preparing for it, I mean, we are thinking about the events, and I mean, God does way more than we can. We're just kind of moving little chairs around, and but yeah, that's the fun part of it.
Such an important and unseen part of all of the amazing things that are happening at the campus.
Yep. I even have a volunteer. We when we put in Connect cards, we're praying over those Connect cards as we put them in.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
So we just call her Pastor Jenny.
That makes sense.
So that's how you do it. Take notes.
It's a group of
I
rock
am.
stars.
I'm just taking notes.
Yeah. Okay, Matt.
Junior, what about you? Can you share a story of worship production? And I mean, it's creating an environment, creating an experience, sure. And because of that, there has to be some amazing ways that you're impacting those that are coming to the campus, those that are serving with you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, we feel like our purpose on a Sunday morning is creating an environment and a space where people can come focus on Jesus. I always say is I don't think a song or a program or a sermon can change people's lives. I think Jesus can, and I think we get the chance to shine a light on him. But going back to the relational aspect, yeah, it's amazing. I think the greatest asset we have at San Mateo is our people, and I know it sounds kind of cheesy to say, but yeah, just seeing the way some of them connect with each other and help each other in life, it becomes a bit infectious on the campus, and I can see people wanting to join that and people wanting to be a part of that group. And yeah, like I am so blessed to do what I do. I'm not the best guitarist at our campus. I'm not the best drummer. I'm not the best singer, but I get to kind of hang around with them and see their gifts at work and plugging into them wanting to see people grow. And you know, one of our shout out to Meryl, one of our producers. She's a rock star, and I would 100% be lost without her. But she,
Same.
yeah. She's honestly like amazing. She talked to me once about, you know, how her behind the scenes role, right? She's in the back. Ethan said that they don't get enough credit, which I agree. I think they make everything run so smoothly, but just having her step out of the booth after service is done, talking to people who are going through different things. She called me over once to pray with somebody, and seeing just like these are the people who we're leading on Sunday, people who are going through stuff, and they get to come and lay all that down, and they trust us with that. I think seeing that a volunteer like her could take that on, I think that's so inspiring.
Yeah.
That's it.
And one thing that I really love about your ministry, as well as I would assume at other campuses, but I just had more time at the San Mateo campus, is that it's multi-generational. I think that's such a cool thing, because I'll show up on a Sunday and be like, oh, that kid is in like Missy's students group during the week, but now they're up there playing an instrument.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love this highlight I have from one of our team is one of our he's an amazing guitarist now. His name is David. Young dude, grew up in students ministry, high school. He's like slaying on guitar. He is in college now. He took a jazz course, and all of the guitarists and some of the guitarists and bass players from our campus, we all went to his jazz concert just as support.
Really?
And we're
cool.
We're all completely different people,
Right.
and yeah, it was so great to see that they're building relationships outside of what goes on in our on church on Sunday at church. So yeah, so multi-generational, but they're all great.
One of my favorite things to watch about Junior is I think he's underplaying his musical talent a bit. I think you're super musically talented. And we were friends, I don't know, a couple years before you came on staff. I'd watch you lead worship in a lot of environments. And when you came on, I gave you a challenge. I think you're more than capable of being the person who sings every song and is like the bedrock musician of this.
Sure.
You could do that, but I want to challenge you to think of yourself more as the leader of the team, investing in those groups of people. And I think you would have figured that out along the way, but you just jumped in with both feet and like people over to your house, loving all those people, thinking of that as your primary value add. And I think it accelerated all those friendships. You created this environment where all those people could know and love each other. And it's such a gift that like the actual Sunday morning experience is sort of this byproduct of the other stuff that you've been doing, building people you've been loving. So I think that's a pretty remarkable thing about you. If I could sing as good as you, I would just make it the Matt show. So I think it's awesome that you don't do that. It's a lot of character.
And so we might notice those that are up there that we can see on a Sunday. What's going on with the people that we can't see? And what roles are there for people that might say, I can't really play an instrument, but I would love to help create this environment that you're talking about?
Yeah, we have a whole production team. We have Steve Kryler, who's on staff part-time. He's our sound engineer, but he also kind of knows how to deal with all the stuff back there. But we have a person who works in lights who it's so much fun. When I learned how to use a lighting rig, I spent like hours. And then Matt's like, it's not a light show. Honestly, I was not
the Junior show. It's the light show.
I thought it was a Taylor Swift concert after I did my first light show.
Especially because
We need a catwalk, Junior.
in a 3-song set, one song would be like fireworks, and the other ones would be like it was just blue.
Yeah.
I would
like
spread that
lights.
time out, allotment out a little bit.
Yeah.
But the first song's really good.
Yeah. And so we have lights we have an awesome group of volunteers. We have sound engineer, which Steve loves having help, and he's trained up a few of the guys at our church for them to know. And we have graphics, which is at San Mateo. The way we run is like lyrics and like the basic information is one computer, and then all backgrounds and all that kind of stuff is a different computer, and that person is the producer. And we have an awesome set of producers, but we do need help. We have a lot of people who are pulling double time, and they work a few Sundays, and so I know they would love the help and expanding that team. And I think that crew, they don't get enough credit, but they make it seem what we do so easy, and it's amazing. Because
tell me what you think about this. I think from a technical perspective, there's like a sweet spot of it's technically interesting without being too difficult.
Yeah,
like those jobs are. Like meaningful, engaging. You kind of have to be a tech person and understand the aesthetic, artistic side.
Yeah.
But it's not like you could never do it unless you're a computer engineer. I think it's kind of an interesting sweet spot.
I'm no computer wizard either, and I've kind of figured it out. When
especially the lighting.
It was funny because when I came on staff, we kind of closed down 5 weeks into me working at Menlo, and I count that as a blessing because it gave me a year to figure out how to use all the stuff back there.
That's right. Okay.
I remember going back there and them telling me some of the stuff's going on. I was like, this is honestly, like I was speaking of Merrill, they make it. It's not computer science. It isn't enough to where you're feeling you're adding to the creative element of the church with lighting and choosing different backgrounds and even ways to transition to service. And they all have great feedback from Matt and I on Sunday. But it is, and they all kind of are great at training too, like to be honest, it would be cool to say that I've trained them. It's the complete opposite. They all trained me how to do it. And yeah, so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Matt, we have a couple other ministry areas that aren't necessarily represented here.
Yep.
Let's talk about those.
Okay. San Mateo Menlo Kids. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We have an absolute zoo going on there.
It is crazy.
And it's fun.
It's so fun. Yeah, definitely for my kids. Those are happy places for them. Yeah, and that's just been like the most fertile campus ever. I think we had over 30 babies born to our campus during the pandemic. And that's wild to think about. And then on Sundays, we have just like 150 squirrely kids in there.
So fun.
Yeah, and I remember, again, this is just one of those times where the people who donate their time and expertise are amazing. But coming out of the pandemic, we had to ask some of the life group leaders to stop giving so many toys and candies to the kids. And they were like, I just want to make it special so that they feel known. Oh. And we had to sort of explain, like, not every life group leader can do that. But the way that those adults make it not just a crowd, but a meaningful set of relationships is really remarkable. And we have one room that is just overcrowded, right? There's like 60 kids in there every Sunday, and they divide up into life groups, and each life group has like 12 kids in it. That's an impossible ratio. But watching those adults make it still a winning formula somehow is amazing. So that's really fun. Student ministry is awesome as well. I did 10 years of student ministry, and our student ministry pastor, Donovan Doan,
Shout out Donnie.
was the tip of the spear coming back on campus. And he spent months like with a fire pit and like 25 kids in the parking lot in San Mateo, microclimates, right? So so cold and windy, and the, focus on how do we serve these kids in their hour of need during the pandemic? How do we make sure they can gather safely? We're really seeing the fruits of that now, where like there's just so many kids showing up on a Wednesday night who are getting to feel known, loved. They have a safe place. They have something to look forward to. The statistics on adolescents being in a legitimate acute mental health crisis right now are quite profound. So the fact that we've been able to create this stable environment with just a ton of meaningful relationships with the healthy, awesome adult disciples, like, I'm just really proud of Donovan, really proud of that. And then Chris Conakandi leads our groups ministry. And man,
she's a rock star.
Chris just is such a deep person with like, I think Junior and I like people, but I don't know if it comes naturally to us to like pastor them and involve ourselves in their world. But Chris just notices people in a different way. So, that's really great. And I think when we started coming back from the pandemic, one thing I noticed is some people would come to me in the lobby at San Mateo and whisper to me, I think we did surprisingly well, embarrassingly well during the pandemic. Like, other people were really struggling, we're doing fine. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't have that great of a pandemic. What was your secret? And so many of them said, we had an amazing life group. And we just knew on day one, that's going to be our bubble. And we did 2 years of we're going to help each other out no matter what. And we're coming back now to like hug each other in the lobby, type of thing. So Chris Conakandi creating sort of the ecosystem where those little pockets of love and joy can flourish, just amazing. So yeah, those are the other. Do we have anyone else on our staff? We have some amazing interns. Oh, connections!
Wow.
Connections!
Gosh. Let's edit that part out too.
It's also kind of funny because when you mentioned students, Jess was producing today, and I could see her like fist pumping in the air because I think you two used to do that together.
My most cherished era at Menlo Church was working alongside Jessica Havens.
Nice.
I think mine is too, to be honest.
Yes, that's right. Not only did we get to disciple so many amazing kids in Mountain View, we also spent so many hours putting up and taking down pipe and drape that whenever I have to do it now, people are like, dang, where did you learn how to do
He's
that?
very fast.
It's impressive.
I learned all those tricks from
We're still
Jessica
like going
Havens.
like this. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So major shout out to Jessica, who can do anything.
She can. She really can.
So
Rock
let's
star.
talk about
Connections.
Junior's beautiful bride, Abigail, who leads our connections. I helped
forgot
perform
about
their wedding, and you think I would have
Wow.
remembered any of that. So no. I would say, in addition to Jenny, our other secret weapon at San Mateo is our lobby.
Yeah.
Making that a warm,
Yeah.
incredible, life-giving environment is what Abigail's especially good at.
Yep.
And I just came back from 10 weeks of sabbatical, and I genuinely felt like I just miss our lobby. I miss our Sunday mornings. These are happy places for me that I just want to go to. So, yeah, Abigail's an incredible leader, and I feel foolish to have not listed her first.
Yeah.
So she's easily the best part of our staff, probably the best part of your marriage.
Yeah.
So
And I think she would say pretty much anyone can do connections if you can smile and wave.
Yeah.
That's right.
So anyone who's like kind of thinking it's like too much to volunteer, she's like, if you can smile and wave or open a door,
Yep.
you can be on connections.
And sometimes we talk about, like, there's a human to human way where you can, in 10 seconds, tell someone how God feels about them.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you how God feels about you right now by smiling and saying, I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are so many big things and nuances to ministry, but that simple gift is really amazing to give. So sometimes Abigail lets me stand by the front door, and I just love to watch all those volunteers give that gift of, do you want to know how God feels about you? He loves you. So glad you're here. So, and there's a lot of other teams involved with that, just beyond the lobby, that are really fun and amazing. But we got a great barista team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have.
That's cool.
cafes.
And
And the donuts.
something that's amazing about Abigail is she came from Mountain View campus. She was doing Menlo Kids there, and she came to do connections at our campus. And she was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was, this is true in any job, right? The first year is just all those unknowns. And it was so smooth. The transition was incredible. So I don't know if that's how she felt, but from the outside looking in, I was like, that could not have been
Yep.
a smoother
Yeah.
ministry transition.
Yeah.
So in addition to Jess Havens, Abigail is somebody who could pretty much do anything.
I mean, the truth is, we got Junior so we could get
That's
Abigail.
right.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to get free flights at Delta. That did not
That-
pan out.
Abigail got free
So,
flight. Can I tell you a funny story about he performed a wedding ceremony? Him and Adam did alongside of my dad. I'm an extrovert, so I don't know how to keep to one person. But
that's right.
But so Matt says, "Hey, stay in the green room. I'll go up, and then I'll cue you when you have to come in when the wedding starts."
Yep.
I'm like, okay. Matt prays for me. He heads out.
This
and
is
then
pre-wedding.
pre-wedding, right?
Okay.
Completely forgets to tell me to
Didn't
come
do
out.
any of that.
So then the wedding starts, and I'm not out. And so then Matt cues Adam. He's like, "Go find Junior." So
We're like standing
yeah,
on the
like literally.
Is
like,
Abigail like there?
Oh, she's in the back, like getting ready to walk in.
And
Almost
people
the
are
moment.
actively
Yeah.
trying not to say juniors. We don't know
then
where junior.
Adam runs out looking
I'm
for me.
I'm smiling the fakest smile of all time, waving to the crowd. Like,
Yeah.
we're fine.
So I start like
Wild.
realizing, like, oh my god, this wedding starts. So I go around. So for some way, Adam and I completely miss each other. So Adam then runs outside, and Abigail sees Adam running around. She's like, "What are you doing?"
Okay,
He's
at
like,
Saratoga, the walls are glass,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
can see outside. So
yeah.
from my spot on the stage, I see Adam running up one side of the building and Junior running the other way on the other side of the building. I'm like, I've ruined.
Yeah.
It hasn't even started yet. I've
My
ruined
favorite
it.
thing is he runs across Abigail, and Abigail's like, "Adam, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm looking for Junior." And Abigail's dad's
Classic
like,
Adam.
"Don't worry, they all say that. It's a joke." Adam was like, "I was full blown panicking, so behind you." Yeah,
Bill is a bro. Abigail's dad saved the day.
yeah. And then I heard the music playing, so then I ran.
You
to the
figured
front.
it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That was entirely my fault, but you fixed it. And you're still married.
Yeah, still
So,
married.
it's a happy ending.
Abigail's connections director. Bring it back around. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, with such amazing people that are involved on each of your teams, you have to be thinking about, wow, what are we excited for? What's next? Because it seems like you're in a place where things are going super well now. But knowing you both, it seems like you will continually try to make things better, try to dream for a little bit more.
Yeah.
So what are you dreaming about, and how can us as a larger Menlo church, how could us that might be listening to this and attend San Mateo that might not be in or on your teams yet, how can we help partner with you?
One of the things I tell our staff, this is an old student ministry wisdom nugget here.
Mm-hmm.
People in ministry overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they could do in 5 years. And I think what's so fun is our team's coming up in that sweet spot where our whole team, has been here for 3+ years, and we're really getting to see some of the momentum that we are able to watch God build really at our campus, right? So, and I think one of the tricky things that has been sort of a best practice for us is we try to take a really simple set of programs and just make them as amazing as we possibly can. So the short answer is we're really excited about launching another service. We're really excited about getting people into life groups. We're really excited about helping them feel super engaged on their teams, like they're getting to use their gifts and lead in the capacity that God made them. And those are just really simple things, but over a couple of years of like loving people, empowering them, praying with them, they feel like the footprint of our campus is really huge. And the capacity of our teams is very large. So, yeah, I think we're feeling like we're going to keep growing these kind of core capacities that we all have invested in. And I don't know, what else am I missing there? But I feel like the ecosystem at our campus is really thriving. And being like fully out of the pandemic, I think this fall we're ready to watch it kind of take on its own Holy Spirit momentum and watch people love each other. I got one thing I want to plug here in a minute that ties this together, but I want to hear what you guys think. What's on the horizon for us?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about volunteers, sorry, my phone's on silent, but is seeing the next step of them becoming volunteers. I have recently had some of my main volunteers become leaders, like in a leadership role, and seeing them take on caring for people, them taking on some of the behind the scenes like planning center stuff. And the other day I got called from one of our Caitlin, shout out to Caitlin, she calls me, she's like, hey, can you come open the church? I was like, yeah, what's up? She's like, oh, I'm gonna train some people for lights, which I was like completely unaware of. It's amazing to see them kind of taking on that next thing. And then seeing those people want to also take that next step. I think especially moving into 3 services, we're gonna need for sure more help. And seeing they're growing, not just there to do something on weekend, but they're really a big part of what we're doing as a church. And so I love that moving forward for them.
That's a better way of saying what I was trying to say, which is I think the ministries have stayed the same, but they've gotten deeper. The layers of leadership and investment have gotten a lot deeper because Junior's just amazing to work with. So are all the other staff. So that's really been our focus, I think, for the past 3+ years is how do we keep building in the layers of depth and relationship.
And I love what you just said because it's, I think about our ministry, it's a really good entry point to, connections as well as the weekday ops, like just for folks to start getting into ministry, but as they take on more and more. And I think of, that's how I became on staff. I started as a volunteer and I got deeper and took on more. That's how we found Sally. Sally is, she was a volunteer who first just did some kids, then she took on a leadership role. And God is just, if you trust him, he'll help you do what you think you can't do.
That's a great way of saying
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. So one thing that brings people together from across all of these stories is something we did last year called Dad Lab, which was 8:30 to 9:45 p.m. Tuesday nights on Zoom. And that's the only time dads are available. And some of it was reading leadership books, family system books, but a lot of it was just sharing. And then now we get to watch them all know and love each other in the lobby. So watching these guys like hug each other in the lobby and then go in and participate in worship. I think maybe we'll keep doing Dad Lab, but one of the real gifts at our campus is watching people get to know and love each other. And then experience all these ministries alongside each other. Like they're in this environment that Abigail built, and then they come into the auditorium and we get to sing based on the team that Junior helped build. And watching those guys that I got to see get to know each other and share in ways dads don't always get to, and then go to church together and thrive in this ecosystem that, Jesus used these amazing people to build. It's so good. It's so good. So a highlight for me is watching the Dad Lab dads be like, "Hey!" across the lobby, then big, awkward man hug, and yeah.
Very cool.
I have to tell a related story. I remember coming back from the pandemic and a woman who had been part of San Mateo Pioneers, she walks in through the door and all these people from Connections are saying, "Hello, welcome, welcome." She's like, "I don't know a single person. Welcome to you." But she was just so flabbergasted to see all these people who felt like this was their home welcoming her, who had been there for 15 years, 10 or 15 years. And I think this idea with your Dad Lab, people who are newer in the community and have volunteered or stepped up or become included are now, they're the campus and they're bringing more people, and it's just growing as a family.
Yeah. The history of the San Mateo campus is so fun because it's 15 years old. And for the first 5 years, I think organizationally, they were certain it was not going to survive. It was under 200 people. They had 5 campus pastors in 5 years. And so the pioneers, there's so few of them because that was barely making it era of our campus. And so the ones that maybe some of them lived in Menlo Park and said, "I'll drive up there for a season, and then I'm going to go back to the Menlo Park campus." Sometimes those ones come visit and they're like, look what God did.
Yeah.
There's no other
Yeah.
explanation than
Yes.
God was good to this bunch because it got off to an inauspicious start and no one believed it was going to work. So yeah, kind of amazing to inherit the heritage of that faith. And
Yeah.
That is
fun.
amazing. Well, thanks so much, everyone. This is super fun. I'll pray for our time, if that's all right. And then, okay, cool. God, thank you so much for the San Mateo campus. Thank you for each staff member. Thank you for those that call San Mateo home. God, and thank you for those that will call San Mateo home. God, we're hopeful and we're expectant that you will continue the amazing work that you are doing in us and through us at that campus. And I just pray for those that are involved now. God, I pray that they could also feel the same excitement that I'm feeling towards the future of this campus, God. And I pray that that future would be infectious to all those in San Mateo and maybe those that want to drive in and experience it as well. God, so thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for the staff. Thank you for the volunteers. And thank you for people that are saying, you know what, I might just try it this weekend. So God, we give this campus to you. Thank you so much. Pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. And first
All right.
things first.
Oh,
Right in the middle. Dude, why'd you have
Wow.
to bring hats?
I thought we were you're such a hat person. I thought we were going to do a hat bit, but it didn't
A
work.
hat
I wanted to
bit?
see you and
I have
Jenny
great
compare
hats.
how you look in the same hat.
that would have been fun. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were done.